15-year-old black teenager was cuffed and humiliated for no reason. But when the officer found out who his father was, the entire courtroom erupted. Before we dive into this shocking story, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wealth and Wounds, where the unheard voices rise, where justice speaks louder than oppression, and where the truth will always find its way to the light. He was only 15, walking home from school, backpack slung over his shoulder, sneakers untied, earbuds blasting music. He wasn't a threat. He wasn't a criminal. He wasn't doing anything but being. But to Officer Collins, he was something else. Suspicion, trouble, a target. And when Collins slammed the cuffs on young Jamal, the boy's only crime was having skin too dark for the officer's comfort. But what Collins didn't know was that this boy's father was someone he could never afford to cross. It was a chilly Friday afternoon. Jamal had just left school, humming to himself as he walked down Main Street. He had a smile on his face, thinking about the basketball game that night, about his mom's cooking waiting at home. But the sound of screeching tires behind him made him pause. A police cruiser pulled up fast, lights flashing. "Hey, you kid," Officer Collins barked, stepping out, one hand already on his holster. Jamal froze. "Me? Yeah, you." Hands where I can see him. Confused, Jamal lifted his hands. His backpack slid off his shoulder. "What did I do, sir?" Collins sneered. "You fit the description." "Description of who?" Jamal asked nervously. "Don't get smart with me, boy." Before Jamal could react, Collins grabbed him, twisted his arms, and slapped cold metal cuffs on his wrists. People on the street stopped and stared. Some shook their heads, others whispered. A woman raised her phone, recording the scene. Jamal's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't do anything. I'm just going home." But Collins shoved him against the car. "You're under arrest for suspicious activity." Suspicious. That was it. No weapon, no drugs, no crime, just suspicion. At the station, Jamal sat in the holding room, his wrists still sore from the cuffs. He tried to stay calm, but he kept replaying the arrest in his head. "Why me? Why today?" Officer Collins strutted in, smug, tapping a baton against his palm. "Thought you could get away, huh? Walking like you own the street." "I was just walking home," Jamal whispered. Collins leaned close, his voice dripping with venom. "You kids think you're above the law. Let me tell you something. People like you never go far. You're just trouble waiting to happen." Jamal's chest burned with anger. He wanted to shout, but he stayed silent. Because deep down, he knew arguing wouldn't save him. But something else would. After hours of intimidation, Collins finally allowed Jamal one phone call. With trembling fingers, Jamal dialed his father's number. "Dad, they arrested me." "I didn't do anything." On the other end, a deep, calm voice replied. "Stay strong, son. I'll be there." Collins chuckled. "Who's daddy? Some washed-up nobody?" "Doesn't matter. When I say you're guilty, you're guilty." But Collins had no idea whose name was on the other end of that line. An hour later, the station doors swung open. In walked a tall, broad-shouldered black man in a tailored suit. His presence was commanding, his gaze sharp enough to cut glass. It was Judge Malcolm Carter, one of the most respected judges in the state. And Jamal's father. "Where's my son?" His voice boomed, echoing through the station. The room fell silent. Officers straightened nervously. Collins blinked in shock. "Why, Your Honor?" he stammered. Judge Carter stepped forward, fire blazing in his eyes. "You dare put my son in cuffs?" Collins tried to recover. He fit the description. Suspicious activity. Suspicious. Judge Carter thundered. "He's a child. 15 years old. You think walking home from school is a crime?" Other officers exchanged uneasy glances. Some looked ashamed. The judge demanded, "Release him. Now." Collins hesitated, pride battling fear. But under the weight of the judge's glare, he unlocked the cuffs. Jamal rubbed his wrists, tears streaming. His father placed a protective arm around him. But Judge Carter wasn't finished. He turned to Collins. "This isn't over. You don't just get to harass black children on the street and walk away clean. I'll see you in court." Collins' smugness crumbled. For the first time, he realized he had picked the wrong target. The boy he humiliated was the son of the very man who decided the fate of cases in his city. Weeks later, the courtroom was packed. Reporters scribbled notes. Cameras clicked. Officer Collins sat at the defense table, sweating bullets. Judge Carter wasn't presiding today. Instead, he sat proudly beside Jamal, who was testifying about the wrongful arrest. The jury watched closely as Jamal recounted the humiliation, the fear, the way Collins had sneered at him like his life didn't matter. Then came the video. The woman from the street had recorded everything. The moment Collins cuffed Jamal for no reason. The way he shoved him into the car. His cruel words. The jury gasped. Collins' face drained of color. And when the verdict came, the courtroom erupted. Guilty, abuse of power, unlawful arrest, and misconduct. As the crowd cheered, Jamal hugged his father tight. For once, justice had been served. But as they walked outside into the flashing cameras, a black sedan lingered across the street. Inside, two men in suits watched closely, speaking into earpieces. One whispered, "That boy and that judge. They're a problem." The other replied, "Then we'll make sure this is just the beginning." Powerful figures may try to abuse their authority, but the truth has a way of fighting back. Never underestimate the strength of the oppressed or the power of those who stand for them. Jamal thought it was over. The courtroom had erupted in applause. His father, Judge Carter, had proven that truth was stronger than abuse. The officer who humiliated him was punished. But Jamal didn't know that the officer was only a pawn, that powerful forces were watching, and that his fight for justice had just begun. Because when you challenge corruption, corruption fights back. The night after the verdict, the Carter household was alive with joy. Jamal's mother cooked his favorite meal, and family gathered around, clapping him on the back, telling him how brave he had been. "You stood tall, son," Judge Carter said, pride glowing in his eyes. "What you did today, telling your truth, was bigger than you know." Jamal smiled shyly, but deep down, he still felt the sting of humiliation. He replayed the officer's sneer, the sound of the cuffs. "Dad, what if it happens again?" Judge Carter put a firm hand on his shoulder. "Then we'll fight again, because they want us silent. And silence is not an option." But outside their window, across the street, a black sedan idled. Inside, two men sat in silence, watching. One lifted a phone. They're together, just like he said, in a smoky back room of a downtown bar. Officer Collins nursed a drink, bitterness dripping from every word. "They humiliated me. That judge, his brat's son, they ruined my career." Across the table sat a man in a sharp gray suit. He wasn't a cop. His aura screamed money and influence. "You lost," the man said flatly. "But don't worry. Some of us have been watching Judge Carter for a long time. He's too loud, too righteous. Men like him don't last." Collins leaned forward. "What are you saying?" The man smirked. "I'm saying there's a way to remind him who really runs this city." Collins' eyes gleamed. "I want in." Meanwhile, Jamal tried to go back to being a normal teenager. At school, kids whispered about him, some with admiration, others with jealousy. "Yo, that's the kid who stood up to the cops," one student muttered. "He's famous now," another said. But Jamal didn't feel famous. He felt watched. Every time he walked home, every time a car slowed near him, he flinched. One afternoon, a teacher handed him a sealed envelope. "Your father wanted me to give you this," she said. Confused, Jamal opened it. But the note inside wasn't from his father. It read, "Justice has a price. Stay quiet, or you'll pay it." His hands trembled. Someone knew exactly where to find him. That evening, Jamal showed his father the note. Judge Carter's face darkened. "They tried to intimidate us." "Dad, what if they're serious? What if they hurt Mom?" Jamal's voice cracked. Judge Carter paced the room. "That's what they want, for us to be afraid. But if we back down now, they win. Do you understand?" Jamal's fists clenched. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be your son in the spotlight." The words cut deep. Judge Carter froze, pain flashing across his face. But before he could answer, the phone rang. A distorted voice hissed through the receiver. "Carter, drop your crusade or watch your boy disappear." The line went dead. 2 days later, Jamal walked home from basketball practice. The street was quiet. Too quiet. He felt it before he saw it, the shadow following him. A van screeched around the corner. Doors flew open. Rough hands grabbed him. A cloth covered his mouth. He struggled, kicking, screaming. But within seconds, everything went black. At home, Judge Carter paced furiously, his phone glued to his ear. Where is he? Where's my son? His wife sobbed on the couch. The same distorted voice returned. You had your chance. Now your boy belongs to us. The next time you stand in a courtroom, remember, we own the game. The line cut. Judge Carter collapsed into a chair, head in his hands. The unshakable judge, the man who had stood tall in every courtroom, was now a broken father. Jamal's eyes fluttered open. He was in a dark room, tied to a chair. A single light bulb swung overhead. Officer Collins stepped out of the shadows. Miss me, kid, he sneered. Jamal's heart pounded. You're working with him? Collins leaned down, his face inches away. You humiliated me in front of the whole city. But now you'll learn your place. Your father won't save you this time. He raised a phone and snapped a photo of Jamal, sending it off. Your old man's going to know exactly how powerless he really is. But Jamal wasn't the same boy who had been cuffed weeks ago. He stared Collins dead in the eye. You could tie me up. You can scare me. But you'll never break me. Because people saw what you did. And they'll see this too. Collins hesitated. For the first time, doubt flickered across his face. Because deep down, he knew Jamal was right. The truth always finds a way out. Suddenly, the door creaked open. The man in the gray suit entered, his eyes cold and calculating. Well, the judge's son. He smirked, pulling out a folder thick with papers. Your father thought he was the only one who knew how to play the law. But we have files, secrets, proof of things that could destroy him. Jamal's breath caught. What do you mean? The man leaned in close. Let's just say, your father isn't the saint you think he is. The screen fades to black. To be continued. The fight for justice is never clean. When you challenge corruption, you shake the foundation of power itself. But the real test comes when truth collides with danger and when family bonds are tested by secrets. If you believe Jamal's story is far from over, stand with him. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wealth and Wounds because the struggle for justice is only beginning.